Not gonna lie, I just did a photo shoot before this and I keep getting asked if I have a preferred side. Do people actually have a preferred side? I'm so confused by this. Whatever, let's record a podcast. Welcome to Not Gonna Lie, a Wave original brought to you by Dunkin. I'm your host, Kylie Kelce, and for anyone in the comments who seems very confused about who I am, this is for you. I'm a field hockey coach. I work with the Eagles Autism Foundation. I have 3 daughters, and even they know if you don't have anything nice to say, maybe don't say anything at all. Reminder, make sure you subscribe to the Not Gonna Lie YouTube channel. I'm capping these episodes at 45 minutes, but I'll also post exclusive clips on Monday. We did it, guys. We're only 3 episodes in, but we've earned more shit Mondays. Coming up on today's episode, I'm going to answer a few popular questions you guys have been asking me about my set, the latest on my journey to get a cat, and more. Also, since Christmas is right around the corner, I want to get honest about Elf on the Shelf. After that, I'll be joined by Fox Sports and Thursday Night Football host Charissa Thompson. You know, another person I have no business speaking to. But first, let's get into these questions. Last week, I asked you guys to submit questions for me, a little Ask Me Anything. And after seeing all the questions you sent in, well, I'm going to have to call it Ask Me Some Things, because turns out you guys got a little personal. And one thing I'm going to stay true to, the show is called Not Gonna Lie, and I'm not going to lie to you. So if I can't answer your question, we're just going to pretend you didn't ask it. A lot of you, for example, are wondering what we're going to name baby number 4. First of all, love the confidence, but even if I did have a name picked out, I'd probably keep that one in the family. What I will say, we don't have a name picked out. So you're not missing out on anything. And I have seen a number of the suggestions come through in the comment sections. I appreciate that. This first one was by far the most popular question. Seriously, you guys are deeply, deeply invested. I've gotten it probably every day since it first came up on the other podcast. And I figured I'd give you guys an update. Where do things stand on the girls getting a kitten? First of all, Courtney, I hate to break it to you, but the kitten would not be for the girls. The kitten's for mom. I think when I was growing up, I was very much in the camp of when I grow up, all bets are out. I am going to have as many pets as I can physically fit in my house because I am very much an animal person. When I came home from high school, instead of watching MTV or other, I don't even know what the other cool channels were. Isn't that so sad? I don't know what the other channels were because I wasn't watching them, okay? I was watching Nat Geo Wild and Animal Planet. Isn't that a true confession? And that's because I can't get enough of animals, but here's what I did do, okay? I realized how much of a responsibility it is to have an animal. And also, when I started having kids, I realized how much I have to really put an effort in to shift my focus onto my animals because my children take up a lot of my attention. And because of that, I am hyper aware that it needs to be a very specific timing. The responsibility I'm conveying right now is a shock to both you and I. I would love to just get a cat, but we're waiting for the right time. And also, believe it or not, I do love and respect my husband. And if he doesn't want a cat right now, I don't necessarily want to do it against his will. I do think there will come a time where we break him down and that he not only says it's okay, but is on board with the decision. And in a loving marriage, I do like to respect his feelings. So as much as Younger me would have loved to just run to the local SPCA and snag a cat or two. We're not doing that right now. But the time will come, I promise. And this last one was also a hot topic in the comments. I need the story behind the ripped up rainbow picture. This ripped up rainbow? That rainbow was made by Wyatt. I wanted to double check myself, but I know that's a Wyatt rainbow. And I don't know if anyone else has their children coming home from school with bags of artwork. But when our bags of artwork come home, then we do sort of an art display at home. We pull everything out and each thing gets to be talked about and each child has a chance to tell what they did and how they made it. And we make a little art show out of it. And sometimes they make it back in the bag and sometimes they don't. And you know what sisters love to do? Not care about their sister's artwork. So this one, I do believe, ended up on the floor and ended up a little bit ripped. So a little bit. This was then found partially ripped by Kayla, who is the Wave Senior Director of Brand. That's what the team just told me. And they just decided to finish the job, rip it all the way through so that it could be more properly aligned in its frame. I think it looks stunning. And also, who with kids does not have ripped artwork? I love it. I love it so much. That's it for Ask Me Some Things. I'd love to answer more video questions next time. We might just pop the videos into the episode. So please, and I have seen some of you tagging me during the sweet spot of doom scrolling. I see you. Keep asking me some things and tag at NGL with Kylie. All right, before I bring on my guest, it's time for another edition of Can I Be Honest? This week, I'm going to get real honest about the ELF. I'm going to spell that first because if you're listening, if you just so happen to be listening where you get your podcasts and you happen to have tiny friends, I'm about to discuss something that could reveal some secrets. I feel like that was enough of a buffer. We're going to talk about the elf on the shelf. We are an elf on the shelf family. We are definitely an elf on the shelf family. Our elf's name is M&M-Y. Wyatt named M&M-Y because that's what she calls M&Ms. And we were in the heart of potty training. And you know what goes great with potty training? M&Ms. So she named her elf M&M-Y. There are so many variations of elf on the shelf. And I don't think our chosen avenue of elf on the shelf will be a surprise to anyone. We are the most low maintenance elf on the shelf family you can find. Those are the families where M&M-Y shows up on December 1st. M&M-Y moves spots most nights. That's it. M&M-Y's not leaving notes. She's not bringing gifts. She's not doing mischief. She's not requiring any additional work. I love the idea of drawing on their face and then leaving M&M-Y with a marker. But the idea of waiting until my kids are in a deep enough sleep and then scheming to get in their room and hoping they don't wake up, that's just a commitment I'm not willing to make. It is not. The one problem that I have not yet run into is how nervous I am that kids are going to start comparing notes at school. Because I know that there are other families out there that elf on a shelf hard. That their elf is mischievous, that their elf is cooler, that their elf does more, that their elf doesn't accidentally end up on the same shelf 2 days in a row. To be fair, the 2 times that has happened, it just so happened that it was raining that morning. And I said, oh, Wyatt, Look outside. The ground is wet. I bet you it was raining last night and M&M-Y didn't want to get her wings wet. Lies. That was a lie. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I will lie to my children. Okay? I lied through my teeth. And I'd do it again because she bought every second of it. God, I did feel a little guilty. And I have moved it every morning since the second time I told that lie. It's fine. We're fine. But I am nervous for the time where my girls compare notes at school because I'm nervous about the families whose elves bring gifts or other treats and fun things. And then they come home and ask me why M&M-Y is such a deadbeat elf. Please tag us at NGL with Kylie to let us know whether or not your elf is an overachiever or a deadbeat like ours. And that does it for Can I Be Honest? Hey guys, me again. If you missed me during that 2-second transition effect, fear not, because I'm back. I'm ready to talk to you about one of my favorite topics, Dunkin. Now, I've said this before to Queen Emma, and I'll happily share with all of you. I was basically raised at my local Dunkin. You know, America runs on Dunkin. Kylie was raised on Dunkin. I have been going to Dunkin since I can remember. My mom, little Lise, she would get an extra large, hot, 8 creams, 2 sugars. She likes some coffee with her creamer. And that's what I grew up on. It's my comfort space. Stop by your local Dunkin' today. And again, you can order in person at your local Dunkin' or order ahead of time on the Dunkin' app. She's the host of Fox NFL Kickoff, NFL Films Presents, and Thursday Night Football. She's also the co-host of the Calm Down podcast, owns her own interior design firm, and is a major advocate for animal rescue. I've called her a queen before, and I'll do it again. Queen Charissa Thompson, thank you for joining. Not gonna lie.
Wow, Kylie, thanks for the nice intro there. That
No
makes
problem.
me sound like I'm so busy. My goodness, I'm not. Please.
I think that you are.
Not really, but thank you for having me on. Congrats on everything.
No,
you
thank
are
you
busy.
so much.
You're
thank you and Erin for the flowers. They are stunning.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm excited that you're in the podcast world and crushing.
Well, any tips or tricks you have, I am accepting them. I love advice because it's rookie season over here.
No, you don't need any tips or tricks.
So we're actually going to kick it off with a not going to lie.
Okay.
I do believe that when we saw each other in the tent at the Eras Tour in London, that we said to each other, "It's so nice to meet you." But we had actually met once before.
Oh shit! You're pulling one of these on me where we met before. Where did we meet before?
To be fair, so I am on record multiple times saying that I love, still do, but have been forced forward. I love to be in the corner, just hiding. You did an interview with Jason and Travis.
Yes,
quite a few years ago, and I was on set that day, sitting in the corner, not talking to anyone.
Kylie, you were at that interview? Are you kidding me?
Yes.
Nobody
yes,
puts
I was
baby
sitting
in the corner. Get out of the corner immediately.
That's where I preferred to be. Mm-hmm. Yes, I was.
Oh,
but I think it was one of those meetings where it was just like, "Oh, this is my girlfriend. Oh, hi, Kylie." And that's how long ago it was. I'm pretty sure.
That was maybe 10 years ago, maybe.
Long
right?
time.
I mean, yeah.
Long time. And where was it? Cincinnati? Cleveland?
It was in Cleveland. Yep. It was in Cleveland because we went back home with Travis and Jason and did a whole profile on them for NFL Films Presents on the high school. That's when Travis told me that he wears 87 because of Jason's year that he was born. Like the whole
Jason still calls bull. Jason still calls bull.
Really? He doesn't believe that?
Revelation. No, he's like, you got given 87, then was just like, how can I remember this? It's my birth year.
Well, it's a sweet sentiment, and it's a nice story.
It was so sweet.
Wait, what a dick. I don't remember that you were there. I can't believe that.
Because when I tell you, I love to just sink back into the corner. I mean it.
So how, at that point, you guys would have just started dating? Yeah, because if it was 10 years ago,
what was it, 2015? Was it 2015?
It sounds about right. I mean, again, we talked about, I don't remember yesterday, but
yeah. If it was 2015, we had really just started dating. It might have been 2016. It had to be 2016 because I didn't meet Travis for quite some time after we started dating. So it had to be 2016.
Was that intentional? Was Jason keeping him away from you or what? What was that about?
Maybe. Football season.
Football season. Busy. Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
Yes.
The way you guys met is so occupied. Great.
It's so ridiculous.
I'm obsessed with that story.
I just love that he won't let me lie. I tried to lie. I was like, we met in a bar. It's not technically a lie.
By the way, the name of your podcast is Not Gonna Lie. See, again, must I point out, I'm not going to lie in my life either. And that's why I get in trouble. Okay. Because my honesty is,
Let's circle back. So the first time we really got to hang out, spend time together was the Eras Tour tent.
The Eras Tour tent. I know. And I was, okay, first of all.
I will never not be able to see you dropping it like it's hot while Mr. Swift is coming into the tent and you turning around and having just a look of, we might have to cut this.
No, don't.
Shock.
Don't cut it, because at one point I was like with Leslie Mann, and I didn't even know it was her, and I smacked her on the butt, and she turns around and I was like, I'm so sorry. She's like, don't be. And I was like, great, I'm with my people. Meanwhile, Erin is like off to the side, humiliated that she is with me and wants nothing to do with my antics. And at that point, I'm like, look, I'm all in. Don't give me a Taylor Swift concert if you don't want me to have a good time. Like it was magical. A shock collar at that point, because it was like everything. I was like, I was incredible. And that was my first, I had waited a year because we were supposed to go in LA, and then Erin was having her baby. And so it was a good reason to call an audible on not attending the LA show. And so we're like, we have to see her. And then I was so glad it coincided when you guys were there, because a time was had. And then we made the trip to the bathroom, which that you're going to love someone when you take a trip to the bathroom and you're talking over the stalls with each other. We're like having a full conversation. I was like, Kylie, you're great, as advertised.
But it very much, it plays into the idea of meeting people and just sort of TMIing right off the cuff out of the gate, because then you're like, this safe space. I could say whatever I want. And you're going to be like, you know what? I said some wacky shit the other day too. Let me tell you about it.
And those are my kind of people. Yeah. I love you for that. Mm-hmm.
And I do love that we got to experience our first Eras show tour together.
That was your first one too. That's right. God, it's great.
That was our first one.
So,
right?
So,
we get to hold on to that.
I mean, there is nothing like it. And I was telling Travis this when we were in the tent. My love affair with Taylor started when my niece was in the hospital. She was diagnosed with a brain tumor. She was 6 years old. All she wanted to do, she's now 22. All she wanted to do when she got out of the hospital was go to a Taylor Swift concert. So she gets out of the hospital, half her head is still shaved, like bandages, the whole thing. She's cleared to go to the concert, and she's singing every word to these songs. And me and my sister are just bawling. But like from that moment, I was like, I love her. And obviously the experience, you saw it firsthand. Like there's no place that just is pure joy like that experience. Like, with a stadium of 100,000 people, just all experiencing the same thing, which is just magical.
I mean, just like the concept of trading bracelets is so simple, but such a bonding experience for everyone there.
I was obsessed.
It's perfect.
Jason was cutting off his circulation.
His hands were purple. When he took them off at the end of the night, he looked like he had been like wrapped in string for hours. It was so funny. I mean,
the beads were screaming. They were like about to like fly off and hit people in the eye.
They're bracelets that are meant for like young women coming to this concert. And then you have my large husband trying to stack them up to his fucking bicep. I'm like, can you not?
It was so funny. Yeah. That whole experience was so great. It was even better than I thought it would be, which I already had like incredible expectations for it. But yeah, it was so much fun. And there's nothing else, which is why, everyone has the same feeling when they leave that. You'll never experience anything like that again. Like, look, how many football games have we been to? Either way, there's dissension in the stadium. You're rooting for one team, like that. You're rooting for another. Yes. This is the only place you can be with that number of people that are all rooting for the same person with the same interest, which is just to have fun and be joyful. So yeah, good for you, Sister Taylor. That is like what she did was, I don't know if it can ever be done again.
I have been on record saying that I originally started in as a comm major because I loved the idea of doing sports reporting, sideline interviews, that kind of stuff. Yep. I quickly came to my senses that I was not equipped to apply makeup, look like a human being, probably couldn't be that professional. I figured out that my spot was behind the camera in school. That was my revelation. How much, this is just for my own knowledge, how much time does it take for you to get ready?
If I had anything to say about, I've been very lucky that I have worked with a lot of the same hair and makeup people who have become family and friends of mine for over the years, and we traveled together and all that kind of stuff. They know that if it takes any longer than 30 minutes, like I'm out of the chair, then I shouldn't be doing this job either. Like if I need an hour to get ready, then there's something else like wrong. We should not be doing anything on camera. So I like to get in and get out. And there's also that stuff too, where I think the older I've gotten, the less I want to do. I mean, there's a certain element, like I get it. There's TV, like you're in the studio, there's lights, like whatever. You got to like put more makeup on. But I used to, looking back at some of the looks, I was like, wow, like I got the whole box of Crayola markers out and was getting crazy. I used to wear so much makeup. I also used to have terrible skin. Like I had such bad acne that I would have to wear like so much makeup. And now as I've gotten older, my skin finally cleared up after like 9 rounds of Accutane. So if you guys are going through a stint with acne, by the way, I can't speak to Kylie on this because I've seen this bitch's skin up close and personal. She has never had a zit in her life. You have never had a zit
right now.
You're so full of it. No, you don't. She's got incredible skin.
I do.
So less is more for me now. And especially when I'm not, hence this look, when I'm not on camera, I am good with like a tinted moisturizer, give me a little bit of mascara and call it a day. I just think like less makeup as you get older is better. So I try to limit the amount. And it's also why I got rid of like all my extensions and all that crap. Like I just want to be in and out. I don't have time for all that.
So if you're leaning into a 30-minute get ready with me, let's be honest. Not going to lie here. Mm-hmm. Who is the longest to get ready for the Thursday Night Football desk?
God, those guys are also, well, we know Fitz is not even showering. So he's the quickest. If we're going to power rank, Fitz is not showers like once a week. So he's the quickest to get ready. Whit doesn't have any hair. So he's second. Sherm is probably, Tony. Sherm and Tony are toss up because Sherm's got to rebraid his hair. So that sometimes takes a while. They're a toss up, and then Tony just vacillates about his outfit because Tony's in this new, like, I want to like be hip and cooler with my outfit. So he's like struggling to find himself in that category. It's so funny. He always says to me, he's like, how do you think this looks? Does it look good? And I'm like, you look great, Tony. You just crushing it. So yeah, I think that's probably the power ranking is Fitz, Whit.
So if
Sherman, Tony,
if Tony's coming to you and asking you those questions, then I would imagine that what is sort of portrayed on the desk, which is sort of you keeping the train on the tracks, that
Which
applies
is when you know
to
it's a problem. If that's my job, I'm the one who squirrel. It's my job who already has ADD to the nth degree to keep the train on the tracks. It's a problem. But yeah.
It translates to a fun desk, but that means that it's also happening off camera, that you're trying to keep that train on the tracks of sort of getting everyone to it looks great, Tony. Let's sit in our seats.
Yeah, there is a little bit of the teacher, we're going to all be there. Yeah, let's make sure that we're doing our job. Sherm, and he will admit this, so I'm not saying anything we don't know, is someone that if you say, that stuff on Instagram where it's, if you just listen to what commentators say, it sounds very sexual, like, oh, that's a big hole, or like, oh my God, he's wide open, or wow, that's hard. Okay, we get it. Insert commentator phrase here. Sherm is the guy that if you say anything like that, he will immediately start laughing like he's a 12-year-old boy. And I'm like, don't do it. Don't do it. There's been so many times where I have to look at him because we're under video, and I'm like, no, because he will instantly take things down that path that is wildly
immature.
Now,
is it because you don't want him to go down that path, or because if he starts laughing, you'll start laughing? Because I would be the person that's like, don't laugh, because if you lose it, I'm gonna lose it, and then we're all going to be in trouble.
Exactly. If I'm supposed to be the one that's keeping us in order, if you start laughing, then it's over, and I can't get this thing.
Then you're going to get the back seat of the car body shakes, where you're not supposed to be laughing with your siblings in the back seat. That sounds like a quick downward spiral. Yes. The swinging arms.
By the way, as a mother, you know that move. Because I remember, I'm not a mother, but I know the one getting it. Don't make me pull this car over. If I have to pull this car over, someone's going to get it.
I just recently told our 5-year-old that if she did not stop screaming at her sister, that I would pull over and she could take some time outside of the car. And she was like, you're going to let me get out of the car? And I was like, if you need a second to stop screaming, because everybody in this car has to hear you. And I realized I was only 1 degree away from being like, I'm going to kick you out of the car and you can walk home.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Are you the disciplinarian?
I very much am. Yes.
Yeah.
I have to discipline my kids and my husband.
That's fair. By the way,
who are we kidding?
Answer to that.
It gets to bedtime and he's launching kids onto beds. And I'm like, hello, we're winding down. It really is. I'm like, can we be adults for 2 minutes?
Oh God,
2 minutes.
It's so good. You are about to have 4 children.
Isn't that insane?
Did you always want a lot of kids?
We always wanted, Jason was always like, I'll do whatever you want to do. And I was always in the camp of, I wanted 4 with room for 1 pleasant surprise, which I really think we got to 3 and I was like, 3 is cool. This feels good.
Yeah. And this was a pleasant surprise? Because
the chaos unfolded. No, then we got out of the rough baby sleeping and all that. And then I was just like, you know what? I like even numbers.
Stop it. That's why you have 4.
Let's do it.
So you don't have room for a pleasant surprise. This is...
I think it might get shut down after this one. We're going to have this next kid and I'm going to be like, don't even look at me. Just eyes at the floor. Don't look at me.
Poor children. No. Good for you guys,
I know.
Though. You make it look easy.
Yeah, I mean, we've been in zone coverage for a while now, so we're winging it. Well. Look who's back to talk to you about Dunkin again. Me, Kylie Kelce, mom, wife, field hockey coach, self-proclaimed butter pecan ambassador. Butter pecan, not pecan. This podcast is called Not Gonna Lie, so I'm going to use this time to play a quick game of 2 truths and a lie, Dunkin edition. Please feel free to shout out which of the following statements you think is a lie. I always order a size medium at Dunkin. I once craved their vanilla frosted donuts when I was pregnant. And I currently have an entire tub of butter pecan syrup in my home. All right, now I'm going to awkwardly pause while you shout out the lie from your car's living room, places of business, etc. Well, it looks like Queen Emma got you guys with a trick question. There were no lies. 3 truths, 0 lies. But while I have you, Make sure you stop by your local Dunkin' today. You can pick up something festive from the holiday menu or go with old reliable butter pecan. Order in-store or ahead of time right on the Dunkin' app. Obviously, you and Erin have a very close relationship, but is there anyone else that sort of took you under their wing and said, like, hey, we talk a lot on Not Gonna Lie about lifting other women up.
Yeah.
Is there anyone that you feel strongly, I know you and Erin really lift each other up, like you're each other's biggest cheerleader, which is amazing. But is there anyone else that you feel strongly like they were a positive influence in your career?
I actually would go the other way. It was the women that were not nice to me that have left the biggest mark. Because then I'm like, oh, I don't want to be that. And I won't name any names, but there were, a few people who women, let's just be honest, can be super catty and super competitive. And look, guys can be too, but the narrative sometimes is perpetuated with women and jealousy and all that other stuff because it's true. So I remember a couple in particular that treated me a certain way. And now I'm like, I'm not going to be that. So the young woman that comes up to me or the young woman that reaches out to me on Instagram that says, hey, I want to do what you do one day. Can you help me? My answer is always yes. Of course I can help you, because there is going to be a time where you have to pass the baton. And, I hope that I get to do this job for a long time. But my goal is that when that next person gets this opportunity, they can look back and have an answer to your question, which is she helped me, not tried to, get in the way or be jealous of an opportunity. So growing up and playing sports, to me, I feel like the best thing you can ever give your kids is involvement in sports, because it teaches you to work with others, to lift other people up, that you're not always going to win, you're going to lose. Like all of the lessons in life that I think have helped me professionally or in relationships have all come from sports. And I'm sure you agree as well. Like you want your kids to fail so that they can enjoy the success, or you want your kid to be a good teammate and not a brat who, by the way, and you're not going to get a participation ribbon. You either first, second, and third. Like
that's it.
You either win or you lose.
You either win the game or you lose the game.
Right. Exactly.
That's it. There is no in between.
There's no in between. And because like in life, and the kids and, I'm sure or people, adults in life that you meet and you're like, oh, they never played sports. They don't know what it's like to be part of a team. And so that to me is something that I try to apply, in this industry as well. It's like, we're a team, we're going to win together. And that's why I felt so lucky to truly have worked with great men and women too, but like specifically on my desk on Thursday and on Sunday, like they're good teammates and like you're going to win together. Like no one's trying to expose you or do something that's going to make you look stupid. So that's the part for me that sports is always a through line in my life for a lot of different reasons.
That's amazing. I really, I'm with you 100%. It's why I still coach field hockey. I still coach a high school field hockey team. These are young women where I can speak kindly about my body in front of them, where I can tell them how strong they are, how powerful they are, and how to work as a team, and give them things that apply to field hockey, but then also will help them in the professional world. Those are all the things where I'm like, how could I ever and on top of it, I get to spend my day trying to share my passion of field hockey with them. So it's like beautiful. The most rewarding thing ever to do, but it goes along with what you're saying of like team sports and having that opportunity. I'm so grateful to have had myself, but then to be able to be a part of other people's experience with that is so life-changing. And I've met some of like the sweetest individuals, the sweetest families doing it. And it's given me the opportunity to, like, last year when the Eagles played the Chiefs and we went there and we did a field hockey clinic for 150 kids, some of which had never played field hockey before. We had sticks donated so that they could go home with field hockey sticks if they wanted to keep playing. It was like the most beautiful collection.
Nice. Yep.
But it's that kind of stuff where team sports I just find to be so deeply rewarding in ways that people who, like you said, have not played sports would be like, sports? Psh. And it's like, no, it has made the foundation of me as an adult.
It's so much of who I am is because I played sports.
It's the best. Well, speaking of teams, you and Erin have been doing your Calm Down podcast for several years now. Mm-hmm. Why did you guys want to start a show together?
We wanted to start a show together because I think not similar to what your reasoning for was, your headlines are much bigger and more outrageous than ours were. But I think a lot of it—
outrageous for sure.
God, you must be exhausted, like having to refute. So I'm so glad you have this platform, because it is, for us, I think it was, let's just not set the record straight, but like, we are who we are. It's a platform where, we get as friends to just chat. We were doing it for an hour anyways on the phone. And also place, I think for Erin especially, as in her role, it's so limited to, a 30-second hit at the start of the game, injury reports, a couple sit down interviews, but she doesn't really get that long form, platform that I do on an hour pregame show, on an hour postgame show, like to really show her personality. I mean, you see it like in her reports and stuff like that. But I think that at least the response that I get a lot is like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that Erin was so funny. I didn't know that Erin was this, like all these things, because you get to see her in a different space. So I mean, she could speak to it more than I can, but that's my observation from her end. But I think for us, it was just about, we're so comfortable, good, bad, or indifferent in all the shit that's happened to us. She's very honest about, what happened to her early in her career, with, the voyeurism and my phone being hacked and having personal pictures and videos come out, and my divorces and her, issues with trying to get pregnant and infertility and all of these like really heavy subject matters that maybe we wouldn't have been comfortable talking about earlier in our career, that we feel like now we are okay with who we are. We are comfortable with the honesty and, the exposure of like, hey, this is who we are, like it, don't like it, because we know a lot of people don't like us, which is fine. But it just was a platform to sort of talk about all of these things and do it uninhibited.
So that leads me into something that I have already professed my deep appreciation for to you in person, but I do want to do it publicly on this podcast. One of the things that you've been super public about is your choice not to have children. And I am so grateful for you having that conversation, because I think that it's so important as women to acknowledge the fact that us choosing to not be a mother, or for the individuals who can't physically do it themselves, we need to share that validation of like, that doesn't make you a better, stronger woman. I think it makes you almost a stronger woman to be able to say like, I'm not going to follow what society tells me to do or try to validate myself as a woman through having children. This is my own personal choice. I think it's so incredibly important that you are speaking to that and that you are allowing other people into that space, because I think that as soon as you say something, especially out on a podcast or on social media, that it opens up the floodgates to comments and other people's opinions and input. But I truly believe that it is, I always had an appreciation for people who chose not to have children, because I think that your choice is your choice. But I am so grateful that you've opened up that conversation, that you've allowed people into that space. So,
thank you.
What has sort of went into that decision for you?
Yeah, well, thank you for that. Like you just said, everyone has a choice, or sometimes you don't have a choice, and that becomes your reality. If you can't have kids, my choice to not have children was, it grew from my struggle in marriages. So what I mean by that is I married the wrong people, plural. I've been divorced twice, and I had some situations that created a lot of mistrust and a lot of heartache and a lot of things that came from those experiences in marriage, that I was like, oh, I don't want to attach myself to something that I can't detach from. And that's a big statement, right? I can get a divorce. I can walk away from those marriages, but I can't walk away from children. And I always wanted to have kids. I mean, I grew up, I was a nanny. I babysat the neighbor kids when I was 11 years old. First of all, they gave an 11-year-old a 9-month-old baby. So you're welcome. And I watched them all the way to the time until I graduated high school. So for 7 years and 3 kids later, I would travel with them. I would go over to their house every day and watch their kids. My mom did daycare growing up because she wanted to stay home with us. So I was always around kids. So I was like, I played baby dolls. I always had this idea that I was going to have kids. I was going to have 3 boys and 1 girl, and she was going to be the last and the youngest. The big brothers would take care of her. Okay, all of that. I also thought I was going to live happily ever after and have a beautiful white wedding and a marriage that lasted 45 years like my parents had been married. None of that happened. So for me, it went back to control, where I can at least control. If I can't control the outcome of these marriages, I can control that I'm not going to bring a child into the world. And I don't want to have to, if God forbid me and the person that had the baby together got separated, that I'd have to share that child. Like there's all of these other things that can happen when you have a child. And for me, it was about the control, which sounds crazy. Like, oh my God. But I think
it sounds rational is what it sounds.
Based off
it does not sound crazy. It sounds rational.
Okay. Well, thank you for making me feel, because sometimes I'm like, am I the same way? I'm never going to get married again. And everyone's like, oh, come on. You can't let those experiences in the past ruin this one. I go, yeah, I can, because you guys didn't go through the hell that I went through in those. And I take responsibility too for the outcome, right? This isn't just like, oh, all of these things happened to me. I was a participant in the chaos and the outcome of these things. So let me regain control. And I've done a lot of work on myself to just be a better version of myself, and knowing that like I can be in a relationship and not have to get married, and I can be in a relationship and not have to have children. And the only reason I got married the last time was because that person had never been married and they wanted to get married. I didn't even want to get married again, but I did it for them. And so I'm like, I'm done making decisions because somebody else wants that. So I am very comfortable in the decision not to have children. And I get that maternal instinct now with these animals that I have. Like, I know that sounds crazy, but like, it
doesn't.
My dogs, my horse, like this, half the reason I ended up getting this ranch was that I could pour my like love that I'm not giving to children into these animals and not have to put them in college or deal with bullying or deal with all of these other crazy, like insane things you guys as parents will have to deal with. And I think if we're having a therapy session, which we are, it really comes back to my need for control over something, because my life was so out of control in the past, and half that wasn't my fault. So, and I will now pay you $500 for the last hour of therapy. Thank you, Kylie.
No, one of the things that I said when we started the show was that I wanted to talk about sports women and motherhood. And I think that this is the perfect complement to the other conversations that we've had thus far, just because I do think that this is such an important topic that, like you said, sometimes it is your choice, sometimes it's not your choice. Mm-hmm. And either way, it's okay. It doesn't define you as a woman. And also, it is your life, and you're making a rational decision that you've put a lot of time and thought into.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for talking to me today and coming on here. And I do know that there was a moment on Calm Down where you guys were talking about girl crushes. I just want to know the feeling. I just want you to know the feeling is completely mutual.
I love you. Seriously, you are
absolutely a girl crush of mine.
Well, I love you for saying that, because we feel exactly the same about you. We talk about your hair. We talked about that jawline, and also just the fact that you are as advertised. Like, you are the person that what you see is what you get. And I'm so, I talked earlier about how women sometimes are not always wonderful and supportive like you are. And I knew from the second that we were in that bathroom stall, not together, separately, but yelling over the bathroom stall at one another, that I just adore you. So congratulations on everything, your children, your
Thank
podcast,
you so much.
And I'm just always rooting for you. Such a fan of you.
Thank you. The feeling's mutual.
Mwah.
Thank you so much again to Charissa Thompson for joining me. You can find even more clips from our longer conversation on my YouTube channel on More Shit Mondays. And that does it for episode 3 of Not Gonna Lie. No new episode next week over the holidays, but I'll be back the following Thursday, January 2nd. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Follow the show on all social media at NGL with Kylie. Not Gonna Lie is a Wave original brought to you by Dunkin. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Happy holidays from all of us here at Not Gonna Lie.